Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're back at McKinney Falls State Park to fish for some stocked rainbow trout. Every single year, Texas Parks and Wildlife stocks hatchery-raised trout in approximately 100 locations across the state, ranging from neighborhood ponds to major river systems. This year, there are a total of 342,373 rainbow trout hitting Texas waters. Here at McKinney Falls, 2,600 of those trout are getting stocked here across a 2-week period. Fishing for these trout is not as complicated as you may think. Any kind of rod will do as long as you can rig up a hook and sinker or a hook and bobber. Smaller hooks are better. These guys don't have very big mouths. For bait, I prefer to get the trout dough bait. You can roll it up into little balls and kind of like press it onto the hook. Other things that work are any soft cheese, corn, or small pellet type bait. The idea with using things like that for bait is to mimic what they get fed when they're being raised in the hatcheries. So using lures or flies is a possibility also, like other types, but you're going to have a better chance, in my opinion, using bait. So I fished for rainbow trout a couple of times before in Texas, but, and you'll see in this video, this fishing experience was by far one of my best. The reason for that was because there was not a lot of other anglers. So at the time, there was a winter storm that was coming to Texas. And so what happened was they decided they had to stock the trout early. And they let people know on their Instagram. And so online, the dates were showing they were going to get stocked on like Sunday, for example. But here it was on like a Wednesday, and the trout were already here. So I jumped on the opportunity. When I first showed up, there was a few other people there, but after some time I was alone. And so I was able to fish right at the falls, right where the water is coming down, which was awesome. And yeah, so you're allowed to keep 5 trout as your daily bag limit, and taking the fish home is encouraged because these fish won't live past winter. They need cold water to thrive. Now, these trout, like when they're stocked, they can be rather small. And so you'll see in this video, I'm throwing some of the smaller ones back because I was catching like more than typical. So I was trying to catch bigger ones, but they do encourage you to keep all of the fish because, like I said, they don't live past winter. So you'll see sometimes I have to wet my hands. These fish are very fragile. And so the ones that I threw back, I made sure that I was handling them properly. So this does pose the question, why even stock these trout in the first place? You may be wondering if they're just going to die, past winter. Really, the whole point of this like program, this stocking of these trout every year, is to get people outside. It's to get them into the parks. It's to get them, like doing fun fishing activities. And for like the actual lakes and rivers that they're getting stocked into, it can provide a boost to the ecosystem. So it can give like a food source to predators. So like largemouth bass or birds, right? Putting a lot more fish in, there's more things that could eat them potentially. After catching my fish, I headed home, and on the way home I actually had to pick up a fillet knife because I don't have my own. So I just stopped at Academy, got a nice knife. I decided I was going to clean the fish and get them ready to cook like the same day that I caught them. And then the next day I was going to cook them. It was already like pretty late in the day and I was really hungry. And I wanted to make sure like I was filming everything, so I did the cleaning today, and then I'm going to cook them tomorrow. So to prepare these fish, all I did was cut off the head right where the pectoral fin is, and then you kind of run your fingers along the inside of the fish to pull out the insides and get the blood out. Now these fish were really slippery, so I had to use a lot of paper towels, and I also wanted to pat them dry as much as I can because they have that slimy like outer layer that I was trying to get off. I actually caught my biggest like stock trout during this trip. I think I measured it out to be around 12 inches. And so catching 5 like 12-inch trout would actually be really nice for dinner. But, you know, even just like catching one really big one and a couple other smaller ones is pretty good. So put these guys in the bag, and then I was just gonna seal them up and put them in the fridge. And yeah, it was kind of funny. You might have seen at the beginning, you're not allowed to bring coolers down to the falls, and I brought my cooler down there, but you know, I was the only one there. I'm just like storing fish in it. I didn't have like drinks or like glass or anything like that. So you might have picked up on that. So to prepare these fish, I'm loosely following like a recipe online. So I've got garlic, potatoes, my spices, lemon, butter, and the fish, right? So for the sides, anytime, I don't have fish often, but anytime I have fish, usually eating it with some form of potato. So I decided to make mashed potatoes, garlic mashed potatoes. So I'm chopping up the potatoes here. I'm getting those started. Put some garlic in, and then I was cutting some lemons up. Lemons I'm going to use for the fish. So we have the potatoes, and then I was also going to steam some broccoli. So those were my 2 sides for this meal. Now with the fish, so to prepare the fish, there's lots of different ways you can cook rainbow trout. Lots of different ways you can cook fish in general. But the biggest thing with these trout are they have very, very small bones. So, you know, on a fish, they have a spine that's running from their head to their tail. You have small bones coming off. It's almost like a rib cage. It's almost like a big rib cage for the fish. You know, it's to protect all of their organs, all their internal organs. Also provides, you know, like their structure. That is where their muscles are connected to so that they can swim through the water. Anyway, so these fish have lots of bones, lots of tiny bones, so cooking them can be difficult. Now, you'll see here on my stove, I've got the cast iron out. I saw lots of good videos online of just like, you know, when you're cooking trout, really just like pan frying them is a good way to go, or you can bake them. I just wanted to use the cast iron. I haven't used it a whole lot on this stovetop, so you'll see later on. I was having like a little bit of trouble, but yeah, we're just gonna prepare them and put them in the pan. You'll see here the potatoes, they finished before I even put the fish on. You know, it can be hard to like balance multiple things when you're cooking, so I was like, let me get the potatoes done first, and then we'll move on to the fish, so I'm not like freaking out. You know, because I'm also like making sure I'm recording everything and all that. So we're starting to prepare the fish here. So for the fish, we're gonna have garlic, butter, salt, pepper, and lemon. That's gonna be everything in and on the fish. Inside the fish, I'm putting garlic and butter. You know, hopefully when we cook it on the pan, you know, it's gonna kind of like go throughout the fish, it'll fill it up. I also sprinkled salt and pepper inside the fish. And then you'll see here I cut up some lemons, putting some lemon slices inside the fish. You'll see here, this is what the inside looks like. So looking pretty good. After I stuffed all of them with garlic, butter, and lemon, I salted and put pepper on one side of the fish. This was the side that I was going to put onto the pan first. I had some oil heating up in the pan, and then I put some butter in. I'll tell you now, the pan was definitely too hot, I think, throughout all of this. Cast iron pans hold heat really well, and I haven't like cooked with it enough on the stovetop to know like a good temperature to have it at. But I would say it was maybe a little too hot. It cooked, you'll see it cooked these first set of fish pretty nice, but the ones after, they were a little overdone, but that's okay. So I put the butter in and the oil. I was heating up. Tossed in the garlic. That garlic is going to cook really fast. I think I knew that, but I was just like, why not? I had like a bunch of extra garlic, so I just tossed it in. It'll contribute overall, to the flavor whenever I'm cooking them. So, yeah, just kind of mixing things around. I used to have like a lot of stainless steel utensils I could use to cook. I don't have a whole lot. I've picked up more since this video because I realized I need a spatula and tongs, because when you're cooking with a cast iron, you want to be using either stainless steel or wood. You don't want to use plastic. Later on I have to use plastic, which is not great because plastic can melt pretty easily, and I was trying to avoid that. But so you'll see here I'm using the fork to kind of like move the garlic around. But we put the first fish on. I think this is my big boy here, the 12-inch fish. We put that guy on, and then put on the other big fish. I think you can see there I'm already like turning it down maybe a little bit. Maybe I was turning it up. I don't know. I know this looks like the big boy. Yeah, this one I just put on is the big fish. Yeah, these fish are really pretty. Like I think rainbow trout are so fun to catch because of their pretty colors, and like they're just such a cool fish. But yeah, so I had to salt and pepper this other side because I put down the side that I already salted and peppered. Gotta make sure both sides get seasoning because the skins are arguably the best part to eat. A lot of people enjoy the skins. So put those guys on. Just kind of mixing up, making sure all the garlic and butter was getting everywhere. I've cooked trout before, only a few times, and it's been like a while, and I've definitely like learned a lot more about cooking since the last time I cooked the trout. This was also like, this is my first time doing like a catch and cook on my own. And so I was like, I might as well like do it for a video. I think it'll be pretty fun. But after like a few minutes, it doesn't take long for each side. After a few minutes, I flipped them. You'll see here is the plastic spatula I was talking about that I was trying not to use, but I had to. Flipped them. They're looking pretty crispy. And that oil is really like spurting out of the pan there. But yeah, with these big ones, I noticed, so after I flipped them, there was like a thick part, like on the upper side of the fish that wasn't getting cooked, and I was like, okay, that's not good. I don't want some of my fish to be raw, so after I flipped them on both sides, I actually like I like tilted them up next to each other so that they could cook better. But yeah, here's the fish all cooked. You can see the other two fish are definitely a little darker. The pan probably was a little too hot when I was cooking those guys. But I wanted to show you the process here. Oops. I wanted to show you the process here of getting the meat off the bones. These are those tiny bones that I was talking about. A little difficult. And I was pulling the meat off, and then I was going to rip the skin off because I realized, okay, I'll just kind of like get all the meat, get all the skin, and then I'll just put that on a plate with my potatoes and broccoli. But yeah, overall, it was really fun. I'm glad that I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to go do this, like catch and cook. I'm going to try to cook these guys because it turned out really well. And I think this is something that I would do again. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'll have more videos coming out soon. This was really fun. Maybe in the future I'll do some more catch and cook videos for you guys. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.